bit, Bowsie. Are you happy, girl? A little bit? Yeah, you're happy. Bowsie showed me a little happiness. Well, hello everyone, this is Sonic Blue, and I'd like to introduce you to Bowsie. If you don't know her already, she's my bearded dragon, and a very happy little girl. But it took me a while to grow adapted to having a happy bearded dragon. It took her a while to grow adapted to me. But what do you do if you are dealing with a very aggressive bearded dragon? You know, the types that flare up at you, they open their mouths wide, they flare their beards up, it turns black, they almost snap and bite at you, and they're scratching at you, they're trying to back away from you. What do? Well, the first thing to do is don't panic. That's the first sign, because you don't want to show any signs of intimidation, and panic is one of those signs. You don't want to show that in front of a bearded dragon. Now, if you own a bearded dragon like this one, you got to show it who's in charge, but you also want to be very delicate with them as well. So you can't really reprimand them like you can a mammal, like a dog or a cat. This is a lizard we're dealing with, and this lizard has to grow adapted to you, you have to grow adapted to it. But there are most cases where if you get an adult bearded dragon as a pet, and it's not latched onto its owner right away, it's going to feel pretty leery. And it can be very common to have an aggressive behaviored bearded dragon on your hands. But how do you get it to tame? Now, taming a bearded dragon from infancy is very simple, and they allow all of that time to grow adapted to you, so it's very easy to tame a baby bearded dragon, which is always recommended, that especially if you're a very beginner in bearded dragon care, always get a baby bearded. That way it grows on you, you grow on it, and you grow together. And it's very simple to raise that way. But let's say you get an adult bearded dragon, or you adopt a bearded dragon, or you take in a bearded dragon nobody wants anymore, and they're not used to you, they're not adapted to you. What do? Well, pretty much assume to say that this bearded dragon will start to act leery around you, very irresponsive, maybe even in some cases, very aggressive. First thing, like I said, don't panic, don't show any signs of intimidation, don't show any signs of anger. Just got to stay in control. No matter what they do, just let them play it out. And if they keep doing it for about a minute or two, let them calm down, go away for a little bit, give them some breathing space, come back in a couple of minutes, see if they've calmed down. If they're still very aggressive, limit your time to handle them, because they probably not built up that trust in you just yet. So you got to build up that trust before you go and handle your bearded dragon on a regular basis. Basically what it takes is approach their terrariums or vivariums, whichever you have them kept inside. And what you want to do is you want to constantly stare them in the eye. Always give them eye contact. Second thing you want to do is to approach very gently. Don't show any signs of intimidation or fear or anything like that. Show them that this is the hand that's going to be feeding you. This is the hand that's going to be taking care of you. There is nothing to fear. You come in peace. Now, base all of your movements on coming in peace. Approaching very silently, taking very silent steps. You don't want to clomp around in heavy steps, because that can intimidate them too. So you want to approach carefully, silently. Make sure that they are aware of your presence. And if they start to back up on you, just don't do anything, just stand there, watch them, stare them in the eye, and wait for them to calm down. Don't make any sudden moves, don't make any sudden gestures, don't even speak until they've calmed down while in your presence. Do this for several times a day if they're still leery about your being in front of their enclosures. Now, this is a very gradual process too, so this will take quite a while to get your bearded dragon to calm down. So this is never going to be an overnight thing. So keep to yourself this. It's never an overnight thing. So after you've adapted to approaching their terrariums or enclosures, and they've gotten used to seeing you, they'll start to calm themselves down a little bit, but they might not still be trustworthy enough to allow you to handle them. So you got to go to the next step. Basically show them that you acknowledge them in hopes that they acknowledge you. Best way to do that is by voice. Talk to your bearded dragon. I know it's weird, I know it's very unusual to do, and I know it's very unusual behavior, but let's face it, moms talk to their babies all the time, and the babies don't speak any English just yet. But they still talk to them as if they understand. That's the way you got to be with your bearded dragon. Hello, Bowsie. Hello, baby girl. Are you a good girl? Are you a baby girl? Are you my good baby girl? Yeah, are you a sweetheart? My sweetheart. And just that very gentle voice of getting them used to hearing the sound of your voice is all they need in order to acknowledge you as their owner, somebody who's going to be taking care of them and somebody who's going to be interacting with them a lot constant than you have before. Isn't that right, Bowsie? I see a little gape coming. Is that a gape for Daddy? Are you gaping for your daddy? Yes, I think you are. And every time I talk to Bowsie, she is like inquisitive as to what I'm saying. Her attention is focused on every word that you make. And even though they can't quite understand what it is you're saying, they acknowledge the sound of your voice. And they adapt to that and they latch onto that as you being their owner. So talking to them actually calms them down a lot more significantly than you would imagine. So on your second step, after you've gotten used to being in front of them, they've gotten used to seeing you, go to the next step, and that's talking to them, making sure that they know that they can acknowledge you and they can identify you by voice. And always speak softly. Never raise your voice to them. Never speak in a different voice. Just use the same voice. Very soothing, comforting, nurturing, and always showing a lot of concern in the tone of your voice too. I really, really do think you're pretty. Compliment them. Compliment them on looks. Talk about anything. You can talk about football stats. The Steelers beat the Ravens last night. Yeah, and Daddy's not too happy about that because he likes the Ravens. And I know a lot of Steelers fans who are jumping for joy, but I like the Ravens, and they lost to the Steelers last night. Daddy didn't like that too much. They don't care what you say to them as long as it's soft and soothing. And you can probably, my mother-in-law's coming to see us, and you don't like her, do you? And you have all of the right in the world to bite her on the nose. Would you like that? Would you like to bite someone on the nose? I bet you would. And I know it's ridiculous, and I know people will look at you like you're a moron or a freak, but you're actually creating a bond with your bearded dragon. The more you talk to them, the more closer you can be to them. Then you're ready for the third step. Once you've talked to them and they look up at you, and here's how you can tell that your soothing voice has been adapted by your bearded dragon, is when you speak to them and they start looking up at you and they kind of approach you a little closer. They kind of look interested in what you have to say. They'll tilt their head at you. They'll like lift their head up a little more, as if it's their way of saying, tell me more, tell me more. And it looks like they're really interested in what you have to say, but it isn't. It's a body language, but that's basically what they're showing in the ways of acknowledgement. They're acknowledging the sound of your voice as being the owner. So once you get to that point, you're going to find that your bearded dragon will become a lot less aggressive towards you and a lot more nurturing towards you as you are to them. The third step, handling. This is where you want to get to handling. You don't want to jump right in and start handling them right away. But when you get to this point, then you can start handling them a little more comfortably, and they won't do what they can to try to bite you nose off or flare up at you or back away in fear of what you're going to do. So here's how you're going to be able to do this. You just reach your hand slowly. Start by opening up their enclosure. Reach your hand in very slowly. Stop if you have to midway to see what their reaction is. You don't want to just reach right in and grab them. You want to go slowly. You want to just reach your hand in and then gauge a reaction. If they back away, give them a little time to adjust. Leave your hand there where it is. Give them enough time to say, this is my hand, it's not going to hurt you, it's not going to do anything to you, and then try to approach a little closer. The closer you get determines on how they behave. If it gets too close and they're not ready for it, they will back away, they'll flare up, they'll puff out their beards, they'll do whatever it takes for their defense mechanisms to let you know to back off. And if they do that, best thing to do is just back off. Revert back to the voices and talking to them, and then try again later. See, this is a very long, encouraging process to go through in taming an adult bearded dragon, especially one with an aggressive behavior. But all bearded dragons, no matter who they are, what individuality they tend to grasp onto, all bearded dragons can be tamed. If you follow these simple rules and simple instructions, then you can become a bearded dragon taming expert. All you got to do is just follow the simple steps, do one thing at a time, never rush it. If it takes a little longer for the acknowledgement to sink in, then it takes a little longer. But rest assured, enough of a drive and determination and a lot of persistence will really come through in the way you are with your bearded dragon and the way they adapt to you. Now, this goes for taming the aggressive bearded dragon, but let's say they're aggressive from birth. Now, very rarely would a bearded dragon become aggressive at birth and carry that into their adulthood. All you got to do is just remember to keep them properly cared for, and always remember to instill nurturing, loving techniques all throughout the steps of their growth. And hopefully they won't grow up to be as aggressive as they are when they're babies. As a matter of fact, I have never seen an aggressive baby bearded dragon in my life. But you know what, this is a great big world, and a lot of bearded dragons are individuals. Some of them have some behavior issues. Others are just as tame as Bowsie here. But if you do get an aggressive bearded dragon, you know, don't think any less of it, and don't think it's the end of the world, and don't think that you've chosen wrong. Every bearded dragon needs a home, needs caring, and needs a caring owner to show them the way. And you could be that very same owner that they're looking for. You just got to work with them and make sure that you nurture them as much as you can, even when they look like they're trying to bite your nose off. So hopefully it won't get to that point, but if it does, just remember what I told you. Work with them, be very patient, and no matter how long it takes, never give up. Because you will create that bond with your bearded dragon, and your bearded dragon will become a lot less aggressive towards you in due time. But it's always going to be a different frame of time for every bearded dragon, because every bearded dragon is an individual, and they have different personalities. They really do. If you stop to look for the personalities, you can find a lot of different personalities in bearded dragons, and I have. Every single bearded dragon I've ever seen had different personalities, but to the untamed eye, they all look the same, act the same, have the same body language, and sure, they all do, but each one has something special that separates them from each bearded dragon. And you just got to know how to look for it. But once you find it, you know you got yourself a winner when you got a bearded dragon to call your very own, but one that calls you their very owner. Bowsie happy. Bowsie happy. There's my happy girl. I knew you had it in you. You were gaping earlier. Yeah, that's my happy girl. Here's my happy baby. Yeah. So this little back and forth took quite some time to be able to develop, but it can happen to you too. All you gotta do is just be patient with your bearded dragon, and they'll be patient with you. That's all it takes. I almost forgot anecdote time. Okay. Bowsie has been the most mild-mannered bearded dragon I've ever seen, ever owned, ever been around. But there was only one time that she actually flared up. One time. And I was not around to see it. What happened was I was living with a roommate, and he decided to walk by Bowsie's terrarium with a vacuum cleaner. The moment she saw him walking by with that vacuum cleaner, she reared up on her hind legs and thrusted her head up, opened her mouth, puffed out her beard, instantly blackened, completely black beard, ready to attack him if he came close. I don't know if it was the vacuum cleaner, his approach, or just his vibes that he was sending off. I don't know what it was, but Bowsie, this was the only time that she flared up and was looking like she was about ready to attack. And I missed it. I was not around to see it, but my other roommate told me about it. So I kind of take his word for it if it concerns Bowsie. There was one other time that Bowsie did flare up, but her beard never blackened, but she did puff up her beard at me once, and it was my fault. And here's, yes, I did make one boo-boo in raising Bowsie. Just one. Well, other times of not being able to catch you when you jump to your doom on the floor, being Miss Daredevil, being the Miss Daredevil that you are. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, that was in the past. Hopefully she doesn't do that again. But anyway, what had happened was I wanted to shoot a video, and I wanted to bring Bowsie along, and I wanted her to be a part of the video. What I didn't realize was the time. Now, this was about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the room I was in had no windows, so I couldn't see outside to see how dark it was. I didn't notice what time it was, and I thought maybe, okay, I come in and, I grab Bowsie, and she had been long past sleeping, so I accidentally woke her up and wanted to take her out and hold her and, and do this video. She didn't like being picked up in the middle of the night while she was trying to sleep, so she told me about it by puffing up her beard every time I tried to pet her, and she puffed up her beard, but it didn't turn black. She just puffed it out. And I'm looking at her like, Bowsie, what's wrong? And I'm thinking, look at the time, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. No wonder why you're upset. So basically what I did was I waited till she calmed down. I kind of stroked her under the beard, kind of soothed her. She calmed down a little bit, but she was still kind of upset that I had woken her up. So what I did was I had my roommate come in. He calmed her down a little more, and then he was able to put her back in the terrarium, and she went right to sleep. So another tip for you all, if a bearded dragon is sleeping, let sleeping bearded dragons lie, no matter what time it is. If it's dark in their terrarium, that means sleepy time. So that was my mistake. That was my bad, and I admit to that. But I don't think that makes me a bad owner just because I made that one little tiny boo-boo. I don't think Bowsie was too upset over that because she didn't hold a grudge. I still felt bad about it, though. And there are some things that might happen that you might feel bad if you don't provide the proper care for your bearded dragon. But all in all, it just depends on how much trust you have with each other and how much love you've built up with one another. And I'm pretty sure Bowsie forgotten all about that little incident. You're not going to forget. You're not going to remember that, are you? You're not still upset with me, are you? That was just only one little time, Bowsie. I swear. I don't think she remembers that. But she does remember the nurturing, the love, and the teachings that I have given onto her on how to show and feel affection. That is something that I show her every day. And that's what you should show. For Bowsie's Vlogs, this is Sonic Glue with Bowsie the Bearded Dragon, a very happy one indeed. Wishing everybody the best of luck in the care of your bearded dragons, and don't forget the number to your veterinarian, one who specializes in exotic pets. In case something were to go wrong, your veterinarian will help you. So, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time on Bowsie's Vlogs. Isn't that right, Bowsie? Yeah, right, baby girl? Is that your good girl?